To live is to suffer. This isn't a choice, it's the default setting of existence. The longer we live, the more layers of pain we accumulate. Reality is brutally fair in how it distributes agony. Whether you are standing at the peak of glory or rotting at the very bottom of the abyss, you will suffer. Success doesn't make pain vanish, it just changes its shape to keep wearing you down. In today's society, as nihilism creeps into every corner of our lives, we are forced to face ourselves. That's when the question hits. What is the point of living? When all your efforts fail to provide a satisfying answer, that question becomes a void that anyone can fall into if they don't find a real anchor. To begin this journey, we must first understand who 9S truly is. In the world of NieR Automata, 9S is not a frontline warrior born for pure destruction. He is a scanner, the most advanced reconnaissance android model in Project Yorha. If units like 2B are the sword meant to execute orders, then 9S is the eyes and the brain of the system. His role is to infiltrate deep into enemy networks, investigate data, and strip away the secrets hidden beneath layers of code. A scanner doesn't see the world through the surface of battles. They see it through algorithms, vulnerabilities, and the truths buried in restricted zones. This specialized role places 9S in a completely different position from his comrades. He is programmed to be curious, to analyze, and to understand the core nature of everything. But in a system built on lies, the thoroughness of a scanner is a curse. This ironic curse is exactly what caused him to be executed countless times by his own comrades long before the main events of the game even began, just to ensure that whatever he accidentally discovered would be permanently erased.
Through the specialized data access capabilities of a scanner, 9S uncovers the first layer of the ultimate lie. Humanity has actually been extinct for thousands of years. The Council of Humanity on the Moon, which the androids worship daily, is nothing more than a soulless server broadcasting pre-recorded messages, a false idol created to prevent androids from losing their will to live once they no longer have masters to serve. Knowing that humanity is gone strips away the fundamental reason for living in the mind of a Yorha android. However, instead of surrendering to that void, 9S quickly replaces the grand collective ideal with a personal one, 2B. For 9S, protecting 2B becomes the only meaning left to define himself. He chooses to cling to her at all costs, for if he existed without a specific purpose, he would be no different from the mindless machines wandering aimlessly across the world. 2B becomes the only humanity left in his world. But in this current timeline, 9S is allowed to live longer, and that is precisely when a grim truth becomes clear. To live is to suffer. This brutal sentence begins when the bunker explodes. The commander, the representative of order and ideals, perishes in the blast after being infected by the logic virus. Immediately after, the most lethal blow stabs straight into 9S's mind. He is forced to watch 2B fall by A2's blade. When 2B calls out 9's, the name he had always longed to hear from her, it is the exact moment the only anchor keeping 9S from drifting into the abyss of madness officially snaps. The punishment for the survivor does not end with loss. In his frantic effort to infiltrate the data tower following 2B's death, 9S continues to be tormented by reality. He is forced to confront and personally destroy 21-0, his coordinator who once cared for him as she has lost her mind to the virus and attempts to take his life. Even worse, the system mocks his pain by throwing countless malicious 2B models at him. Being forced to slaughter these clones, wearing the face of the person he loved most, crushes the final shards of his personality. At the very end of despair, 9S finally discovers the true nature of Project Yorha, a pre-programmed mass suicide pact. The fall of the bunker and the death of 2B were not accidents. but a genocidal script designed through a backdoor to wipe out all witnesses. A scanner awareness now becomes a literal curse. He realizes all the agonizing pain he endures, the sacrifice of 2B. Everything is completely meaningless. 9S is not a warrior. He is just a piece of junk data being cleared by the system, with hatred being the only thing left to define his existence.
When every anchor used to define reality is uprooted, 9S falls straight into the trap of nihilism. Simply put, this is the state when an individual realizes that all their beliefs, morals, and efforts have become meaningless in the face of a cruel reality. For 9S, there were three pillars that kept him standing: the ideal of humanity, faith in the Yorha organization, and his feelings for 2B. When all three vanish, his world is left without a single point of support to cling to. 9S's transformation at this point is a testament to the fact that when faith is betrayed to the core, sanity turns into madness. He doesn't enter nihilism through theory, but by tasting it through every layer of his flesh and data. 9S no longer fights to save the world, or for any sense of glory. He fights only to vent the emptiness gnawing at him from within. His slaughter of the machines or his frenzied attacks on A2 are not the actions of a hero, but the screams of a man who has clearly seen that no matter how hard he tries, the result is always a flat zero.
It doesn't matter! None of this matters!
9S!
What if it doesn't matter? Why do I long for humans like this? Why do I desire the touch of something that no longer exists?
The most brutal form of nothingness is when 9S looks back at his own nature. Previously, he felt important because 2B was by his side and because he had a mission to fulfill. Now, knowing he is merely a redundant data unit in a collective suicide pact, 9S faces a terrifying truth. His existence never had any meaning to begin with. Every emotion, every beautiful memory with 2B turns out to be just part of a system script designed to gather combat data. Realizing he is only a pawn in a game with a predetermined outcome, 9S's very existence becomes a burden. 9S's madness at this moment is actually the most extreme form of freedom within nihilism. With nothing left to lose, no one left to care for, and no laws left to follow, 9S becomes reckless in the truest sense. His hatred isn't aimed at any specific individual, but at existence itself. He wants to destroy everything, including himself, to end the cycle of meaningless suffering he was forced to join. This is when 9S is at his most human, a being in pain because he realizes life has no inherent purpose, trying to leave one final mark even if it is destruction before vanishing into the void. The journey of 9S does not conclude with a song of triumph, but with a profound question for each of us. Who are you when everything you believe in disappears? The answer lies in the two final paths for 9S, where he finds true freedom through how he faces his end. In Ending C, A2 chooses to sacrifice herself to purge the logic virus from 9S. After the battle ends, 9S abandons his blindfold and his sword. The Yorha blindfold symbolizes being veiled from the truth, and the sword represents the cycle of meaningless combat. By casting them aside, 9S escapes his role as a war machine, or a controlled scanner unit. He chooses to look at the world with his own eyes, accepting the truth to live or depart as an independent individual. The hope here is found in the act of letting go, to rediscover his original self, no longer chained by any system. Conversely, Ending D offers a hope for continuity and the crossing of boundaries. When the Ark, the vessel carrying the memories of the machine lifeforms, prepares to leave Earth, 9S stands before his final choice: to die there or to depart with the entities he once considered enemies. By agreeing to have his data uploaded alongside the machines, joining Adam and Eve on a new journey toward the stars, 9S finds deliverance. He chooses to carry all his memories of 2B toward a new horizon, a place free from the grip of the old lies. Both endings provide hope for 9S. It is the hope of finally being himself after all chains have been broken. Whether he chooses to lay down his weapons for peace or embark on a new journey into the vastness of space, 9S has written the final page of his own life. His story reminds us that even in the most brutal reality, we still have the right to decide who we are and what we carry with us. Hope is not a miracle from the outside. It is the moment we dare to face the truth and choose the path for our own soul. And then, we arrive at ending E. When all data is about to be wiped out, the pods defy the system's orders. However, to truly secure a future for 2B and 9S, the will of machines alone is not enough. This is the moment the player steps in to change the outcome. In this ending, you take action to shoot down the list of the game's creators. Those names represent destiny, the ones who programmed the endless cycle of suffering for 9S. By firing at them, you are making a declaration. You refuse to accept a predetermined, tragic end and fight to reclaim the right to exist for the characters. In this battle, you will fail time and time again. The screen will repeatedly flash messages asking if you want to give up or if you'll admit that all these efforts are futile. But you do not abandon your purpose. It is your stubbornness, your persistence to keep going despite constant failure that finally breaks the cruel script set by the system. Director Yoko Taro reminds us, to live is to suffer, but to live without a purpose is even more painful. 9S's journey mirrors the lives of many in reality. Sometimes you feel like a mere bolt in a massive system, performing meaningless tasks. But when you choose to delete your entire save data to help a stranger overcome this final challenge, you create your own purpose, connection. In a world of nihilism, supporting and sacrificing for others becomes our reason for existing. Even if this life is filled with countless sorrows, from personal losses to collective upheavals like pandemics, war, or isolation, we must continue to live. Yoko Taro doesn't provide a fixed answer or a miracle. 2B and 9S are reconstructed, lying there waiting for a new beginning without a written script for happiness. But within that uncertainty, you finally have the freedom to redefine yourself. Do you think this life has meaning? Whatever your answer may be right now, keep living and cherish it. Purpose is not something waiting to be found. It is something you forge yourself from the midst of the ruins. As Pod 042 said,
"A future is not given to you. It is something you must take for yourself."
Maybe if I keep believing, my dreams will come to life.